Hello everyone. Today I'm offering some choices or paths with the theme of different traditions. So let's light a candle and burn some cedar. And look at our choices for today. I have here a amethyst chalcedony stone. But this stone reminds me of Mother Mary. And with her is a stone called zeolite. And the card that I pulled was Our Lady of Manifest Miracles. Another path includes a polychrome jasper, which I felt represented a druid. And with him is a Lumerian aquatine agate. And the card that I pulled for this was the Guardian. And then we have an angel. And the stone of celestite. With the card of the Healing Temple. Restoration, cure, safety. And finally, a representation of the Buddha. And a stone in the shape of a heart. And the card is a water molecule of the soul. So these are the paths of choice, which will include discussion, Shamanic Reiki, and sound resonance as choices on these different paths. And timestamps will be below. And you can choose to work your way through these different paths, these different options, in whatever way that you choose, and whatever it is that you're needing at this moment. And I'll begin with Mother Mary, the zeolite, and Our Lady of Manifest Miracles. So on this path that I'm calling the Mother Mary path, that has this amethyst chalcedony, the two qualities represented here include, with the chalcedony, calmness of emotions or settling of emotions, or working with emotions. The amethyst aspect includes mental clarity, and I'm suddenly being distracted by the squirrel outside and the climbing amongst the trees. I wonder what message might come through with regard to the squirrel. But with the amethyst, this aspect is about general energies of love and compassion emanating outward, connecting with energies outside of us, and having mental clarity with that regard. And with those qualities between the emotions, the mental clarity, and the love and compassion, gratitude, amethyst also has the quality of assisting with addictions, apparently, when I was looking it up today. Which is interesting because I chose this zeolite stone, which one of its qualities is to assist with addictions. More generally, zeolite is good to work with energies in general, particularly like Reiki healing energies. And removing toxins from the body, including drugs and alcohol. And again, kind of this emanation of energy. When I hold the zeolite, I feel a greater vibration that occurs within it, just from this little piece. You might think that large crystals are the only ones that really make a flow in vibrations, but often they're just a small portion of a crystal can give off that vibration. So I wonder what these two together that seem to be addictions are like the common theme between the two. And often I'm thinking of AA and Alcoholics Anonymous, and part of their program is to look to a higher power, that something exists outside of ourselves. For greater answers than we can conceive of. I don't know that for me, it's a higher power per se, but like a person or a higher power, but to understand our connectedness together and the information that can exist around us and is available to us. When I chose this stone, I was at a gem fair, and it was a very crowded space, and I tend to not be as grounded in those spaces and don't take the time required to select some things. It's not a particularly good experience for me, and I find I'm better at selecting things from home. And yet I also want to feel the vibration of a crystal, a rock. So this was kind of an unusual piece for me to choose, and yet I was attracted by it. And it wasn't until months later, I believe, that something about this particular stone reminded me of Mother Mary. Something about this cut or flashing around makes me think of a robe and of an opening into something special inside. That this more dullish color, or even this rock that it has attached to, is not quite as brilliant as what is actually inside, or inside of us. That there is actually more within us than we know. That we have access to within. And I think that's the part of the point that I was trying to try not to shake the table here, get at, was that this concept of a higher power exists all around us, but then really it is within us. It sits there within us, or that's where we hear it or feel it, is within us, interacting with us, being with us. It's not separate from us. So Zeolite and Mother Mary assisting us with addictions. What might that mean? Perhaps the card will give us more information. Our Lady of Manifest Miracles, card number 11. With respect to this particular card in the deck, one thing that really draws my attention is that this black background, because most of the images have a full color image all the way out to the rim. whereas this one is more inward. I suppose more like the description I was alluding to earlier is this different, not as brilliant exterior and something more brilliant within the center, or where the juiciness aspects of it exist. So this also makes me think about a cave and being in that dark space, someplace inside, all of which I've been alluding to. So I was thinking which aspect here was about the emotions, and that's the Chalcedony. And with regard to addictions, and the need to go inward and feel our emotions. I think part of the addictive process is that we want to avoid emotions. We want to avoid situations, so we try to go somewhere else to satisfy ourselves, to make ourselves feel better. And unfortunately, that often doesn't result in a positive outcome. And I'm reminded back at the zeolite and where it assists in removing negative energies and toxins. A friend of mine has said that she believes that addictions come with entity attachments, that they like to come and feed off of that energy that gets created, and then they become attached and urge the addiction to further itself. But I think addictions are a symptom of something that's not right within our world. The fact that so many exist in drug and alcohol, in food, in almost anything that you know you're doing that feels not quite right to you, is done too much, is not done in balance. These are addictive situations. No, sorry. Cat wants to get up here, and I do not want him to disrupt this. Down. Down. Okay. So let's go back to the card here, Our Lady of Manifest Miracles, as I read a little bit about the card today. It was really referring to the fact that little miracles exist in our world every day in small and large ways. Which makes me think that one of the things that is, I think, helpful in addictions is to notice the small things, is to realize that there are things that are right in the world, or to acknowledge those things, but to really go more deeply into ourselves, to acknowledge the value of ourselves in this world, and to find others that can assist in validating who we are, in supporting the things that we value, to try to not push ourselves into the values of a system that we live in. It doesn't matter what country or religion or family structure you exist in within the world. All of those have specific structures that there are expectations to live within. And that doesn't mean that because we came to existence in those situations that they are right for us. And they might not even be right for many of the people that exist within them. So the challenge is to find ways to be supportive of each other, in the ways that can bring forth those inner callings, that stuff within us that really wants to be brought out but doesn't feel safe or confident or valuable. And as I sit here today and think about the squirrel at the beginning and the cat wanting to come in and a bit of distracted thought, I think of energies that try to prevent us from doing the things that we want to do in the world, try to steer us in a different direction, that it takes a lot of effort to fully go inside and fully express that inner self. Because there are so many things in our outer world that would like to push us in different directions due to specific agendas or the existence of a pattern of energetic flow, which can be systems or can be outside sources. When there's a lot of energy going in a specific direction, it's hard to go against the current. So in working with an addiction or battling, truly being yourself can be difficult in this world. But we need to believe that those parts of ourselves can come out, that can be supported and built. And sometimes that can be easier than we think, while other times it will take much effort. And that's what I feel that is coming through on the Mother Mary path today. So I've called in the Reiki energies for this Mother Mary path. And opening myself up for any images that might come through, sensations that will come through for this path. And I think the main thing that I'm feeling right now, and I'm uncertain if that's part of this or not, but that there's just an erratic vibration that I feel both underneath me and around me. So I'm going to hold this stone that I'm calling Mother Mary and see what it will bring forth. As I feel activity in my forehead, there's like a tense energy that's now spiraling. Or the energy is tense around my head and spiraling in my forehead now. And I feel movement in a vertical line. Not really seeing any particular images for this. Just the extension upward, which is, I think, relative to the amethyst and the mental activity that it supports. Let's hold the zeolite. And now I'm seeing like somebody entrapped almost within like a crystal, but it feels like a trap. It's very tight around this person's body. It's making me think of how we can feel trapped within our situations, but even small shifts, or really that we don't fully understand how simply we might get out of those traps. The solution might be very simple. But unless we know how, we're within that trap. It very much resembles this card that I mentioned. If this part were the crystal and somebody is within this crystal, It's like they're sitting in the darkness. But as this card mentions, there are small miracles that can occur, and the path may be easier than we think. We just need a key to unlock that crystal, that cave, that thing that is trapping us. Sometimes the smallest thing can create the biggest opening. And now I'm feeling the zeolite in my hand, like there's an expansion happening and a desire to open my hands. So this is the cave, and all I had to do was open my hands to expose, to free the zeolite within my hands. And now I feel like it's doing more of its work because I feel that energy traveling up my arm. So let's see if I put it in this hand. Yeah, I can feel the energy immediately going up that arm as well. And holding it this way, I have a greater sense of compassion, of caring, of being held. And it feels like it wants to go to my heart center. Where it begins to radiate more. Particularly up through the headspace. This makes me think of clearing the mental activity, which the amethyst also supports, and the emotions that the chalcedony supports. And that with the addictions, it's often something, I think, mentally, our mental stories that are going on and chatter that then convinces something is not right, make us feel that something is not right. In our attempts to correct that feeling or that story that's not right. Or perhaps the cause of the addiction and why these stones might be of assistance. Now I'm feeling a sensation of throbbing in the center of my forehead and like a light blinking on and off, even though the light's not changing in the room. Like we can have sudden ideas come forth, or it can be intermittent. in the solution. And I just took a deep breath, feeling more relaxed and calmer. And I think that's what's coming through for the Shamanic Reiki portion of this Mother Mary path. And now we're going to begin the sound resonance portion of this Mother Mary path today. So this is the path that I'm calling the Druid path, because of this polychrome jasper, which I feel like looks like a Druid based on the colorings. Polychrome jasper is a balancing stone relating to all of the, or has qualities in connection with all of the chakras. This one is Lemurian aquatine calcite versus an agate, also called blue onyx. And it's more related to the upper chakras and from the heart upward, and connection to the higher realms, to your higher self. And then we have the Guardian card. I have some interesting stories about these two, in that I had the Lemurian aquatine first. I really had selected this. I like the colors in it, and I like the connection to Lemuria, which is believed to be a lost world. And I purchased this online, and I'd hoped that this area in here was more clear and would have shown more into the interior. And it does a little, but not as much as I thought it would. But it makes me think of looking inward, or in some ways like a crystal ball, and being able to see something more from something dense, such as a crystal sphere. This guy came to me when a friend of mine took me to a what's it called? What it was is somebody had a collection of crystals and stones, and then, it was the Rice Museum, that's what it was, which then filled a house and then became a museum as after their death. So I was really attracted to the colorings of this, and then later found that it seemed to look like a Druid, and I felt that maybe that's why I was attracted to it. And then one day I decided, and maybe I got this second, but anyway, I decided to journey into this calcite, this Lemurian aquatine. That's a hard word for me to say. Calcite. And then I found the connection to this Druid here. Because when I journeyed into this crystal, I found myself in a burning building, and there was in fact a Druid there, and he was demanding that I give him this crystal, which I did not give in to that demand. He says, "You don't know what to do with it." So I thought that was a really strange connection to have with a crystal in a journey. And then I also drew a card, which I don't have here at the moment, but it alluded to the cathedral in Notre Dame. when I went to look that cathedral up, I found that there was in fact a fire at one time, and I think maybe it's still in repair, or it hasn't been repaired for long. And then furthermore, I made connections to the fact that the cathedral was built on land that was originally pagan. And I think there were some kinds of themes to Lemuria as well, some kind of ceremony or traditions that at least had the naming of Lemuria within it. So it doesn't surprise me that this card of the Guardian comes up, because ever since that time, this Druid man has been very protective of this Lemurian aquatine crystal. After that experience, I did do a journey and did what I felt was required with this Lemurian aquatine crystal. So I didn't give it to the Druid, but I did go and see what might have been needed. So this path here seems to be of guardianship, of guarding something sacred within. Of feeling that things are very important and need to be followed through in a certain way. Here within the card, we have this skeletal remains, and it makes me think he's been there a long time. So long that he has no flesh left. Both of the crystals here allude to ancient times, ancient philosophies. There's a connection with the earth and particular places within the earth. And my mind goes toward making particular journeys that then gather up this traditions that then are guarded. That perhaps they're our own traditions that we guard, that we create, that exist in certain places, certain physical places. It makes me think of a journey that I took to my throat just wants to clog and not speak. Maybe these are sacred things within me that want to be held and not spoken. But I had taken a trip to the UK and Ireland, and I went to sites that I felt were sacred to know more about them for myself. And I'm also remembering that a friend was telling me that she was having some allergy issues and she was leading a group, and like it was almost trying to prevent her from expressing the knowledge that she wanted to provide people. But she decided that she would continue regardless because she felt it was important. So perhaps this alludes to things that are held sacred and important, but at a certain time, they need to be expressed, spoken, put into the world for others to receive and not just guarded. That we have ways of knowing and using our knowing to do what's right, that somebody else doesn't just have the guarded secrets, that we have them also within ourselves, that we can use that knowledge from within ourselves, that we don't always have to guard it, that there are times when it is safe to come out. There are times when things need to come out, when the timing is right, when the circumstances are right. And again, I start to say that I went on a trip to the UK and Ireland to visit sacred places, to seek the wisdom within them, but through me rather than through the voices of others. So I rarely looked at what other people thought of them, and mostly went to experience them myself and to create drawings of the energy that I felt there, which I haven't fully shared, and perhaps it will be time soon to do so. It's not like I've kept it totally to myself, and yet I think I was unsure about what to share and how to share it. And what the significance there might be for others. Because at the time, I was having difficulty finding the significance that there might be, even though I thought when I went that there would be this great thing to come back with. There was something in me that didn't quite see it at the time. So maybe that will be revealed soon. Maybe there will be something in your life that you've held or didn't quite see the significance of, didn't feel the value of in sharing with others. That it may be time now to share. So hopefully sometime within your life, you let some of these secrets out before you become bones guarding what's inside of you. after your death. Those secrets, those things that you're guarding, won't be able to be shared with others, and they will lose their significance, possibly. So it seems like the message is to judge when to hold something and when not to. When to give a crystal to a druid, or to consult your inner knowing as to what you should do. And now I've called in the Reiki energy to open up a portal into what other information might want to come through about the druid. And I'm feeling a sensation in my forehead of activation and a pathway opening. It feels kind of like a tunnel, maybe like this passageway of the guardian. But I'm not quite sure what's actually around me. It's a dark tunnel, passageway. Feels like there's kind of a red carpet showing up, and my throat's wanting to clog again. And there seems to be another opening to the side. So there's like a choice point. And now I feel energy moving upward, and my body moving upward as well, out of this tunnel. It's kind of a concave light to my right. More like a light tunnel, urging me in that direction. Not really seeing very much. Let's hold the druid. See if the druid wants to say something today. I feel like I'm in water, but maybe within a cave. The colors remind me of this Lemurian aquatine. So let's go there. There's more light as I pick this up. maybe snow, like going up a path of snow along a ridge. Like where things are frozen. It seems like there's a waterfall. And a lot of light. It's mostly what I'm picking up, I guess. There's a sense of flow. Like deep within the cave, there's a sense of flow. And a sense around me that there's protection. And I was seeing kind of a red, brownish gold water going through the minerals of the cave, reminding me of erosion and the things that make up the crystal. And my knuckles are rubbing against my palm. It's like the smoothness that it creates with the watery roads. And fans out the different levels of the crystal, like in this portion of it, running water over the top, which fans out these different dimensions. I think these images are alluding to the value and what's being guarded. And that this treasure will always be present there. And it's not something to exploit, but also always to be treasured. And protected in some way. It gives me a very calm feeling. It's a place to rest in. It's a place of beauty. And there are spirits there that are supportive and encouraging. And wanting to help. And I think that's what we have for the Shamanic Reiki of the Druid. So welcome to the path of the angel, as I'm calling it today. We have a ceramic angel here holding a turquoise heart, and also a celestite stone, which relates to the upper chakras from the throat upward. And since the last path, my throat has been kind of clogging up on me. So it might be a good idea to place it against my throat for a moment. Blue is the throat chakra. And blue colors in stones all remind me of calming. We also have the card of the healing temple, restoration, cure, safety. It's an interesting image in that there seems to be this place within these mountainous structures, in some ways attempting to hide what's there, and yet it is luminous, impossible to be hidden. And someone stands there on the shore with a staff or wand, almost like it's being invoked. When I think about my connection with angels, in some ways I feel it's separate from, say, the Christian path, or one of the piles or paths today was of Mother Mary, and although I believe she's considered an angel, in some ways I put angels in another classification for some reason. I think of them as guardians and helpers. I think of angels as having councils, like a council of angels. I think of angels of clouds in the sky, that you can see their wings sometimes, giant, huge, looking like angel cloud wings. Sometimes there's like a fleet of angels in the clouds. All kinds of cloud formations that often remind me of angels. A particular image that I'm fond of, which relates to a couple of things I've already stated. I had gone to a sound healing intensive in Colorado, and then with somebody I'd met there, went off to hike at a location, and the images that I saw in the clouds, one was of like an angel rising up through, as if the sound intensive had created this rising or ascension process, and it was responding in acknowledgement of what had occurred. Off to the side was also this, what looked like a circle of angels to me, a council of angels gathering, and maybe that was like us gathering. So I was at this sound healing intensive, and so it's like you're learning about sounds and what they can do and how to use them for healing purposes and such. So, of course, in the process, there's a transformation that is occurring. And that's why I thought the image related to the intensive. And the angels were gathering to acknowledge what had occurred. Overall, I think of angels as supporters. They are the ones that you can ask to assist you, but they're also watchers who do not interfere unless you ask them to. So they're a form of guidance and protection. And I'm thinking of guidance on our paths through life. So it could be like in the moment, or it could be more long term. You know, when we put our desires out into the world and where we're trying to go, and we are asking for assistance, and they help to maybe manufacture situations for us, or put factors in place that help to lead us in a certain direction. So those are some of the things that I think about in my relationship to angels. This celestite stone, for me, and I don't remember whether it's an actual property of the celestite itself, but this particular shape, which is kind of an egg, I think the stone community would say it's a partial egg, but for me, it is an otter. It reminds me of an otter. And I don't know if you can really see it in the camera here, but there's this concaveness, and it makes me think of an otter floating on the ocean, and his food or prize, or his kits would be on the belly. So this is like the belly. And as I think of the belly, that's like our power center, the things that we keep close to us. We're either empowered and strong, or disempowered, and that's where we can be hurt the most. that inner power. There's a sense and connection to angels in that they are of service to empower us if we choose to bring them forward in that way. They can assist in empowering us. This card again, the Healing Temple. In a sense, again, there's like this pocket that this temple exists within, kind of like the belly of the otter. It's not like it's blatant and out in the open, but it's sort of hidden, this treasure within. This temple of healing. This temple of healing really exists within us. We can seek outside sources, but our true health, I believe, exists within us. We need to be able to access those points, to listen to that information within us. And perhaps it is the angels who are whispering to us what we can do to provide more health in our life, to provide a greater direction. And although there are energies that exist around us all the time, our attention gets drawn to many things. And so we need to be centered enough within us, within our power centers, within our belly, within the pockets of ourselves, to hear what the angels might have to say. Restoration, cure, and safety. These are all things that can be whispered to us, that can be felt or acknowledged within us. Safety is a tricky one for me. I feel like it's something that we all want to have. It's an intention that I keep myself safe. And yet there's been arguments that we are all safe, always. And I don't know where I'm going with that. So I think I'm going to go back inward into myself. Into the card, into the angels, into the crystal of celestite. And my attention is drawn to the fact that there are blue tints in the angel in the crystal and in the card. And blue has recently been coming up for me. But in more of a sadness kind of way. But perhaps what in these images, there's the blue and then the light coming forward. Even in the crystal, it's blue, but there's a lot of light within the different formations in the crystal that make it appear more white. So perhaps the sadness and the light are alluding to the fact that they exist together. That there is light or joy and sadness in the dark. And that the angels can open a pathway through that darkness and into the light. So I brought in the Reiki energy to help to open a portal of energy shamanically, and I hope that this will help to shed more light on this angel path today, as I felt it was a bit cryptic or not as smooth as some of the other pathways. So let's see what the angels might want to bring through. So I'm feeling an energy that's coming down through my head and into my heart, which is expanding my heart space. Like an angel is looking over me and sending this energy down. And the energy that I've already opened for Reiki is also expanding and is making a triangle with my heart energetically. And this energy is expanding itself mostly upward. And I'm feeling the presence of angels behind me, as well as above me. And even more angels, in which I would call the allegiance of angels, gathering, crowding. And I'm feeling energy pulsing from my heart back and forth as kind of a wave between my hands. And I think they're alluding to being able to lead with my heart. That they assist through the heart center. And I think this is correct because my heart center is pulsing. That's a yes. And they're encouraging me to breathe. And I'm feeling a sensation in my forehead, a tenseness. And it's starting to lift. So I think this alludes to leading with the heart and alleviating those stories of contention in the mind. And I'm feeling a hand on my back as a supportive energy. To this process. So the last path of discovery for today is what I'm calling the Buddha path. And for me, Buddhism has been a interest for over a decade, I think. Something like that. And it represents being present. Being present enough to hear within us. Being present enough to be compassionate with ourselves and with others. It's to be still in the world instead of full of activity, and yet activity does occur. It's to be able to at least strive for that stillness within, to listen even as we are acting in the world. To come into the world with a perspective of pace versus reactivity. They call it right action, which basically means that you aren't reacting. You're trying to go somewhere within to sense an answer versus to act on that answer or act in creating an answer. It's really about, for me, being in the body and finding that answer arise within you versus merely going to the mind and its stories that can be created out of fear. So it's going within to that place of stillness, of nothingness, and finding a more appropriate answer than the fearful storyline. I suppose that's part of why I chose this heart-shaped stone, because it feels like going in and listening more to the heart, taking time to consider the heart of myself and the heart of others, before forming an opinion, a judgment, trying to take action in a certain way. It's surprising to me, actually, how many heart-shaped stones you can find. The fact that they form naturally is interesting. And yet I see that this one has had, like, its wounds. Like there has been a wound to the heart and a scab has formed, or a scar has formed, so that it's not as perfect as shaped as it might have been. And mostly I'm just thinking of what happens to our hearts and where that fear comes from that we have a tendency to have reactions towards. which cause certain behaviors and don't allow us to be fully present in the world and make decisions that consider ourselves and others. This card that I chose is one from experiments done by, here I have the Dr. Masaru Emoto, where the water molecules were photographed after sending certain intentions toward them, and they created different specific formations, and this one is soul. Hope that's the right direction. And even within this card, there's almost like this heart that forms in the center, or that it has a definite heart to this particular formation. It's almost like a hole in the ice, that it has depths below it. And there's all this fuzziness around it that doesn't make things clear. And yet within the center, there is clarity. And I don't know whether it's the photography on this or whether there's actually a goldenness, which would be interesting. I'm thinking about both the sacral and the solar plexus chakras, areas in the belly where I would associate with soul. And so one is of the sacral chakra has the color of orange, and the solar plexus has the color of yellow. And this seems to be mostly yellow with tinges of orange. It makes me think of questions that I've had with regard to soul, heart, our existence, that spark of essence. Like, where is that located within our bodies? Where is that spark, that place within us that all emanates, that gives us life? But with regard to Buddha and the heart, maybe, I'm thinking about how you're really taking in energies from all directions. You're considering all directions. And those are coming into the body. The biggest practice in Buddhism is meditation and being in the body, sensing what you're feeling, being present with your discomforts. Acknowledging what is present and attempting to stay present regardless of what's occurring. So the Buddha path really is about presence. Some people think it's included in religion, but it's not really a religion, it's more of a practice. And there isn't a Bible per se. If there was a Bible, there might be the Bible within. The Bible of your experience. Because the philosophy is that not for someone to teach you, but for you to have the actual experience yourself, to acknowledge what is true or not true for you. Of course, there are guides to make suggestions based on what you encounter within that particular journey. It's a journey of looking inward. To see what might be inside of your soul. To allow you to explore your own soul and what it's about, and the direction that it wants to take. But having heart for yourself and others, down to the smallest microbes or the largest universe, considering all of it instead of just a portion. That's the Buddhist path. So now I've brought in the Reiki energies to see shamanically what else might be available on this Buddhist path to share with us. And I feel that energy vertically from the top of my forehead down into my heart, and a little bit further down, I'd say, toward my solar plexus. And there's a feeling of expansion along that vertical line. And there's a tension in my forehead. And my eyes want to move from side to side. And it feels like trying to read the mind, like the mind chatter. So maybe it's like, it's about deciphering the mind chatter. The mind will always chatter on, but if we decipher that, it can't be digested. We can figure out what is like has some reality to it versus falsity, like is worthy or better or of greater to the greater good versus fear or smaller than. So allowing a greater expansion versus contraction. Yeah, expansion and openness. Which also opens the heart. So clearing away the debris of the mind in having correct deciphering correctly so that the heart can open and have clearer perception.